right, so Fremantle posted a YouTube video of their first day back at pre-season for all the players. Usually year 1 to 5s go for like a week or two before everybody else returns back, but this would be when everybody at the clubs return back. There's a lot of personal vloggy type stuff in it, but we're just gonna go over all the S&C type of stuff. So let's get stuck into it. All right, from the very top here, you can see he's just doing a bit of movement and dynamic stretching, just limbering up, you know, probably psychologically just preparing for the training session ahead. So here they've got this thing called the Voss Academy, which obviously Vossi, the player, has introduced to the team, where essentially they're just doing a lot of touch work. They have breakfast after this, so it's not like they're rolling straight into this touch work into their normal training session. So it's not like it's gonna help them warm up or anything. However, what's really good about it is not just footy, but if you wanna get good at any ball sports, you have to live with that ball in your hand. The more that ball's in your hand, the better you're gonna have a feel for it, the better touch you'll have. Psychologically, you'll be way more confident. There's loads of stories of professional athletes where their parents or their friends are talking about when they were kids or young adults, they never left the house without a ball, they slept with a ball. So it's really important to get as much touch as possible. In fact, I even remember hearing about Ross Lyon making the Freo players during that really successful 2012 to 2015 period get a certain amount of touches per day, or a certain amount of touches per week. So each week they had a target amount of touches they had to hit outside of formal training. And if they didn't hit that, obviously they'd get in trouble. I don't know how they lawed that or basically how they would have kept track of that. But anyway, I can't remember the exact number, but I'm pretty sure it was something like 1,000 touches of the footy per week outside of formal training. And they had to do that. And they were pretty successful, really regimented and really well-skilled team at the time. So do not underestimate how important it is to get as much touch as possible with the ball, because whether you play football, basketball, anything like that, the skill is the most important thing to execute. The physical qualities you can work on whenever in your own time as well, which are obviously also important, but the skills of the game are super important. Here you can see they're just getting some work done in the therapy room. Basically, everybody's probably gonna have ankle tape. If you don't know, or you're an international watcher, almost every AFL player wears ankle tape. I used to, I try not to now, but yeah, it's just a commonality because there's so much change of direction, so many rolled ankles, sprained ankles. So here they've got their main training session and they're starting off with a fitness test, which is the 30-15 French test. So this is a short interval style test. Essentially you run for 30 seconds and then you rest for 15 seconds. And that never changes. The only thing that changes is that each time you complete a level, the next level it'll go up by a half a kilometre or a kilometre or something like that. Now this is kind of the new one that AFL clubs are doing. I know that Collingwood did this on their first day of pre-season as well. If you're a little bit of an old head and you used to participate in field sports at a decent level, you probably remember the beat test or the yo-yo test. So originally the first kind of interval style test was the beat test, which is essentially just a 20-metre shuttle run until you're exhausted. That was working more so on aerobic capacity, leaning more into that. Not exclusively, but leaning more into it, obviously. Then it progressed onto the yo-yo test, which was kind of like a hybrid between the two. It was leaning more towards HIIT style running or a HIIT style running workout. However, it was leaning a little bit more to anaerobic capacity. So you had beat test that lent more towards aerobic, yo-yo which lent towards more anaerobic. And so this 30-15 French test is a really good balance between the two. It's a great way to bridge the gap because it works on aerobic capacity, anaerobic capacity, but also it's inclusive of change of direction, which is really important with footy because there is so much change of direction. You know, you can do a 2K test and work out specifically how good your aerobic capacity and your maximal aerobic speed is and everything like that. However, it's not inclusive of change of direction, which is a really important aspect of the sport. So it's not a bad shout doing these styles of fitness tests. And essentially from this test, the sports scientists can work out your intermittent running speed, which is essentially the last level you get to, how fast you're traveling. And then from there, they can individualize the player's cardiovascular programming. So obviously every player's got a different energy system profile. They're either more in endurance, more speed, but also they've all got different capabilities. So this will help guide the programming to an individual level that everybody can perform and yield the best results from, essentially. And the way they do that is that they'll just perform high intensity interval training, and they'll base that for each individual based on a percentage of that VIFT, that intermittent speed that they came up with. So here you can see they're having lunch straight after, before they obviously go and head into a gym session. Absolutely important to make sure that you fuel up, because they'd be burning so many calories, the body would be demanding so much energy. They really need to fuel up before these gym sessions. Otherwise it would be a real drag. When you double up with a field session into a gym session, if you don't fuel properly, you'll perform pretty poorly in the gym, which kind of defeats the purpose. You're just stacking on more stress on the body without actually getting some good results and adaptations from it. People have to remember, when you go into the gym or run, you're chasing adaptations. You're not just getting work done for the sake of getting work done. So you need to be able to perform at an adequate level. Here you can see they're in the gym and they're starting off with box squats. Here is a good example of how powerful the most powerful players in the AFL are. Here you've got Josh Treacy and Voss, who are Fremantle's two main power forwards, notoriously known for being super strong, even Jai Miss here, and they're moving some pretty considerable weight. So here you can see Treacy does 3 reps of 220, I believe, with a lot of intent and a lot of explosiveness. That's something that's absolutely crucial when you're doing these partial range of motion, high load efforts, like a high box squat. You really have to have huge intent and try and move it with a lot of power. Here you can see Amiss is performing some trap bar pulls with around 170 kilograms, which is really impressive as well. To be powerful, you have to be able to move weight. You really have to be able to move weight, and with intent too. So this is a great example of that. Here you can see a single leg RDL, which I'm gonna be honest, I am not part of the whole shoes off when you train at all times community. I think I used to be a long time ago. Now I'm not so much. However, this is one exercise, one of very few, that I would make sure whoever's training or the athlete isn't wearing shoes, especially these super thick-soled ASIC gel nimbuses or Kayanos or whatever they are, because there's a lot of proprioception involved with a single leg RDL, and you really want to be feeling it right and basically be super balanced as well, because you don't want balance to be the limiting factor. So I would actually just do a kickstand RDL, or I would take the shoes off. But I mean, if the athlete's got great balance, it doesn't really necessarily matter. All right, here you've got Vossi performing some of the box squats as well. Obviously super heavy, and it looks like it's moving pretty well. Notice, just one more time, just notice how they're just performing 3 reps. So it's really low volume, super high intent. And then here you can see they've moved into a Smith machine rear foot elevated split squat. So now they've taken all the stability out of the exercise, as it's in a Smith machine. You don't need to focus on stabilizing the weight. All you have to do is focus on performing the movement well and really producing some good force. And it looks like they're doing more than 3 reps here. They're probably doing 4 to 6. Here, they're doing some suitcase carries with a bit of rope. The rope could be just to make it a little bit more challenging on the balance, or honestly could simply just be because when you hold the kettlebell up close to your hip, you kind of have to hold it out, further out away from the body, which is more challenging and more annoying. So here they're just performing that. Really good for the obliques, so for the side abs. If you ever do this exercise, you'll really feel your side ab engage super hard just to maintain that completely straight upright body position. Really easy, elementary oblique exercise that you can perform. And a lot of people challenge the belief that you shouldn't be doing isometrics with your core work. You should be doing dynamic core work, which you should be doing dynamic core work with every part of your body, obviously including core. But I think there's actually a lot of benefits from doing some of this isometric type work. And I feel like it helps a lot in contests and taking hits and kind of making sure that you can maintain that stability in chaotic situations. But that's it. Hope you enjoy. Any questions, always feel free to reach out. There's a common theme between all these pre-season training sessions you're seeing. They're obviously starting with a fitness test, then they're rolling into a field session, then they're refueling, and then they're doing their gym work. And specifically speaking about the gym work, a common theme you're seeing is very low volume. So the rep ranges of each set are usually 3 to 6 reps, no higher, because the adaptation they're chasing is an improvement in power and force production. It's not trying to gain muscle or really flog the body. It's trying to keep the body nice and fresh-ish, so not really depleted and super banged up, but it's also really trying to express huge amounts of force because that's what's going to matter in the season. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out again, or if you have any videos you'd like me to analyze of any team training, whether it's AFL, rugby, basketball, send it my way and I'd love to help out. And feel free to subscribe or like the video if you actually did enjoy it. So thanks, take care.